Hi there, my name's James Peacock and I run the Anne Boleyn Society on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And today the lovely people over at MadeGlobal Publishing have asked me to be involved with the Anne Boleyn Memorial Day, which I'm eternally grateful for and very, very thankful about. And my subject of conversation that I'll be talking about is Anne Boleyn and fiction. The reason I'm doing this is because Anne Boleyn is someone who has been written about and portrayed so much, whether it's through fiction books, TV series, movies, plays, you name it. Excuse me, she is someone who has been portrayed probably more on film and TV and written about in books and stuff more than most other British monarchs, and most other monarchs in history actually, which is ironic considering she wasn't actually an official monarch herself. But one of the things I think what's so interesting about fiction is it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because a lot of people, it's very easy to sneer at fiction and sort of say, oh, you know, it's a lot of it's inaccurate and stuff, but it does draw people in and gets them fascinated about history. And I think that's one of the interesting things about it, and one of the reasons why we kind of have to look at that really and see why does it get people interested. And really it's about kind of recognising that it kind of fleshes out the characters a bit more really, gives them a bit more emotion to them, make them appear a bit more real. One of the main portrayals, the two main portrayals that I think that have got people interested in history and certainly fascinated about Anne Boleyn is Natalie Dormer's portrayal, for one, in the TV series The Tudors, and the other one is Genevieve Bujold's portrayal in the movie Anne of a Thousand Days, which she co-starred alongside Richard Burton, who played Henry VIII, and this was in the late 60s this came out. And those are the two of the most well-known portrayals of Anne, but actually there have been others as well. Most recently Claire Foy in the TV series of the adaptation of Hilary Mantel's best-selling novels Wolf Hall, although Anne Boleyn wasn't quite a focal character in that series. But in general, fiction often gets sneered at for its inaccuracies and how it portrays certain characters. And this is understandable, I think, to a point, because, for example, the other Boleyn girl, Anne is portrayed in that movie and in the book as someone who could really be described as an absolute witch. She, you know, comes across as particularly evil, whereas in other series like The Tudors and Anne of a Thousand Days, she comes across more kind of more fleshed out, shall I say, very ambitious, which is no way a bad thing, I don't think, but it tends to have a bit slightly more fairer portrayal of her. Whilst people have criticised the other Boleyn girl a lot, because it portrays Anne as possibly having been guilty of the crimes committed with her brother George and certain other men that she was accused of. On the other hand, with Anne of a Thousand Days, people actually tend to like the scene that has Henry visiting Anne in the tower, and they have this argument, and she really tears him basically to shreds. And I think what we love about that is the fact that it's almost like a new, you know, it's what should have happened really. People want to see that, so they love that scene because they wish it had happened. And of course it ends on the prediction, which was highly fictional, of Anne knowing that Elizabeth was going to become queen, when in fact Anne wouldn't have known that at all. But I think what's so interesting about these sorts of things is we also get a sense Anne almost comes across as someone she wasn't. Even the movie Anne of a Thousand Days, which is my personal favourite movie of all time, has Anne uttering the lines to Henry, "If you make me Queen of England, I'll marry you." We have no record of Anne saying I will marry you if you make me queen. And that often gets repeated so much in fiction that it's become fact that Anne Boleyn forced Henry VIII to leave Catherine and marry her, when in fact we have now. I'm not trying to say, I just want to say quickly, I'm not trying to say that Anne Boleyn was this victim in the whole thing, that, you know, she entirely stood by and let Henry make all the decisions. Not at all. I think she was a very ambitious, very driven woman, which I think is very admirable. But I think one thing we have to be a little bit careful of is we have no actual evidence of Anne forcing Henry to make her, Queen of England. And so I think when it comes down to things like that in fiction, we have to be a little bit careful that it often gets repeated so much that it becomes fact, when in fact, as I said, we have no record of that. But Anne also is someone, I think, that one of the reasons people are so drawn to writing about Anne is her just basically her fascinating story. Here was this woman who came from nowhere, rose to the ground to be Queen Consort of England. The whole country was split from Rome in order to marry her, and then of course you have the whole dramatic downfall. How Henry the King had changed so much to marry her, and then was signing her death warrant. It's a bit like something out of the King Arthur and Guinevere, except the only thing is Anne Boleyn doesn't get her knight in shining armour to ride off into the sunset with. Instead, she actually meets her fate. And I think this is one of the reasons that people are so fascinated by this woman. And she almost comes across quite a lot as this woman ahead of her time from the 21st century, when in fact, really, she was more of her time. And I think that is one of the reasons why people want to write so much about her, and one of the reasons why she is such a fascinating character. And I think that's and I think despite many of fiction's inaccuracies, I think we have to embrace and accept that this is what gets people interested in history. Yes, Anne Boleyn was not Natalie Dormer, she was not Genevieve Bujold, she was a completely her own person. We'll never know for certain what she looked like, just the same with the others, I don't believe, because a lot of the portraits were designed to be highly flattering, just like the one just behind me here of her daughter Elizabeth. But I think it adds character to them, it fleshes them out a bit more, and it allows people to see them as possibly human beings. Maybe she doesn't always appear like that in books such as The Other Boleyn Girl and stuff, but it is a fabulous way of getting people interested in it, and then hopefully they'll come to sites or read books that are non-fiction and learn more about this fascinating woman. And it looks like a lot of people do, and that's something I think we really do need to embrace. Thank you very much for listening to me talk about my ideas, my subject matter. I hope you found it worthwhile. Please do pay attention to the MadeGlobal account, because there'll be more fabulous videos coming up, or that have already been shown, that are well worth seeing, from all the different authors at MadeGlobal who run accounts on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And theirs will be well worth watching, because they'll be fantastic. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the Anne Boleyn Memorial Day. Let's celebrate the life of this fantastic queen. Thank you very much. Bye bye.